Great. So, you know what I love about you is you seem somewhat fearless on Twitter. I mean, you have all these other politicians who just don't seem to engage people, but there you are engaging. What's wrong with you?
You know whose fault it is? It's Raul's fault.
Perfect.
When I actually first discovered the medium, this communication tool, I was a little tentative. But what I wasn't afraid of is to ask to meet key people who are experts in this, and I've talked to Raul and a few others, and they gave me some tips, and I enjoy it. Though my problem is I tweet really late at night, because there usually isn't a time during my day where I actually can tweet.
But let's be clear, you're tweeting out of your account. It's you.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part. So this isn't a ministry account. This is my personal account. But what I'm doing is trying to balance giving some messages out about the importance of advanced education and some of the really cool stuff that's going on, things that are important to me, and also giving people who choose to follow me an idea of what I'm like. And I think that's that careful balance, because honestly, I know I've got some colleagues who tweet, and I skip right over their tweets.
Because they're just... they're the messaging, they're on
just
point?
Messaging.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think the audience would agree as well, is that you want to have your personality. You want to have the authenticity, as often gets said. And you seem to shine through with that. Is that something you're consciously doing? Is it something that you have to fight with to make sure that you are talking about the great event you're at, but at the same time not saying, and this is going to help move the province of British Columbia forward, families first?
I'm way more comfortable tweeting something as a form of communication than being on stage or having to talk to the media. So that's my comfort. And the fact that I can limit it to 140 characters is even better.
If I ever had a politician that could limit their comments to 140 characters, that would be awesome. But
well, that's why
there's no way that's ever going to happen.
But you know, I could tell you that when I tweet about me making spam sushi, I get a lot of people who will actually engage with me because of that. And that's the door that opens up that next conversation.
Exactly.
Or if I tweet that, you know, my second Canucks flag was stolen, or in this case knocked off and I didn't see it fall, you know, I get people tweeting back. So you build your circles by trying to engage people at another level. So,
but does it, you know, at the end of the day, you are a politician. Is this helping with your political goals? Like, are you able to engage with people who could actually put a yes vote in a ballot box for you?
So that's ultimately, I'm doing this to, I think, increase my profile. Yeah. Selfishly, that's what I'm trying to do. But I've been able to use Twitter also to receive information. Right. In fact, I actually think I get more from Twitter than me tweeting. So I'm actually, my information comes in 140 character spurts all day when I have that short period of time. So I'm using.
So you're getting people asking you questions or making comments directly to you?
Yeah. You know, the other day I did an announcement in Kamloops, and there was a confusion in the media, and Jonathan Fowley tweeted something that I needed to correct. Right. And so I tweeted him back and said, I'm going to give you a call. And I did. I called him back right away.
I actually saw that conversation, and Jonathan Fowley is a political writer with The Sun, or I think it's The Sun. Yeah. And yeah, I saw that, and then you said, why don't you call me, or something like that. And I thought that was kind of cool. So do you agree then that sometimes there is a need to take the conversation out of the public forum and into the old-fashioned phone circle?
Yeah, that wasn't something I could say in 140 characters.
There you go.
But I mean, it wasn't private. It wasn't a private conversation either, because it was actually for an article he was writing.
Gotcha.
But it was just that door.
Right. So you're connecting a lot with media people. You're able to correct misconceptions and that sort of thing. But the questions you're getting then, are you getting them from actual citizens, or because of your portfolio of advanced education, are you getting them from students around the province?
Yeah, a lot of my followers are students.
Really?
And, a lot of them are students. And the questions, yeah, absolutely. They're concerned about student debt, interest rates, tuition, all sorts of issues that are important to students. But I can tell you the positive stuff was all about transit recently. The UPass.
The UPass.
The UPass.
Okay.
It was very, very well received.
There you go. So, yeah. But how do you find time then, because you are a minister, you are an elected MLA, you have other duties, how do you classify your communication? Do you put social media communications ahead of, say, written communications, ahead of phone communications? Because it's so tempting, and I do this in my life. I am so tempted, if someone tweets me, because I can be on the SkyTrain, I can answer back. But if someone calls me, I can't necessarily have that conversation right now or on the SkyTrain. So is it better to contact you by Twitter? And if so, does that limit the people who can contact you?
Actually, I think that's the most immediate, direct way to contact me. Because you're contacting me. Actually, I was kind of insulted the other day because I was talking to some students at Thompson Rivers University. And one of them said to me, "Oh, I follow you on Twitter, but is that really you?" And I thought, oh, that crushed me because, I mean, I thought that my whole goal is to make sure people know it's me. Yeah. To show that side. I mean, who's going to tweet spam sushi? Well, I don't think I could have staff tweeting that for me. So that kind of bothered me. So I thought, gee, do I need to do some more work to show that it's me? But I'm not. That's me. I'm not going to change.
But you know what was so funny? Because, you know, we talked about this before, and everyone hears Obama, Obama, Obama. And then people were crushed to find out that he wasn't the one sending his tweets. In fact, it was only a couple of months ago. And people felt cheated. And I'm like, well, you know what? At some level, you become a brand. Obama is a brand. Are you a brand? It doesn't sound like you.
No,
it sounds like you could be, but you've decided to communicate yourself. And is that beneficial to you? Yeah,
you know what? I could have done it two ways, and maybe done what Raul did was to identify yourself as in two different avatars. One is me, right, and the other as Minister of Advanced Education, right. And then I'd be able to separate the identity. But in the end, for me, that's way too much work. I need everything coming in. So you got rid of that other account? I didn't have the other account, but that was just something I thought of doing. Oh, okay. Just so I could keep those two messages separate. Yeah. But in the end, no. You know what? I wake up and I'm pretty sure I'm the same person, whether I'm in cabinet or, you know, in my apartment or on the SkyTrain.
But let's jump to Facebook, because you do have a Facebook page, and it's not as active as perhaps it could be. And how do you find that balance as well? Are you moderating your own Facebook page? Do you have staff doing that? Staff
does Facebook. Okay. I even actually put my own personal Facebook page on hold. Yeah. And it's been reactivated, though. I don't get that.
Maybe with the changes yesterday. I'm not sure.
No, it happened more than it was a couple months ago. But my issue with Facebook is that it requires too much of me.
How do you mean?
It's just I Twitter for what I have to.
140 characters.
Yeah, 140 is better. Yeah, it's a great limiter. Plus, I can read. When I'm receiving the information, it's 140 characters or less.
But is that, let me ask you this, this might be a hard question. So are you limiting your Facebook experience because it's convenient to you as opposed to convenient for for the citizen? Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's I have to say, I was waiting for it. Well, actually, Dave, no, but that's pretty honest. I appreciate that.
There's only so much time. I agree. And I think you need to be, I love Twitter, I don't know why, but I do. Yeah. Well, I do know why. And I want to put my effort there.
Well, how about the old-fashioned website? You know, that relic of the internet. Your website, how much use does your website get versus your Facebook page versus your Twitter account?
Twitter is definitely up there.
And then who updates your Facebook? Would that be your
staff?
Your staff again.
And again, I have two Facebooks. I've got the
Facebook or
Facebook.
Okay.
Advanced Education. Then I've got my MLA Facebook.
Gotcha.
And it's not interactive.
So how do you get the information? So if I'm a student, I go on the Advanced Education page, or even your page.
Yeah, my Twitter.
So, but then again, is that kind of weird in communication that go on Facebook, but tweet me to get the response?
I don't know if it's weird, but it's just the
way it is.
It's just the way it is.
So
because I actually don't. I mean, I tell people if they want to reach me, don't leave a voicemail.
That's on your voicemail?
Yeah.
Hi, this is my voicemail. Don't leave me a voicemail?
No, I don't say that. I just tell people that. Because the last thing I want to do is it takes an extra few seconds. You've got to dial the number's dialed. Then you've got to press 1. Then you've got to listen to it. And it's get to the end. And then you probably have to phone them back. It's too much.
What do you hear from your colleagues who are not on Twitter? Do they understand why they're not on Twitter? Or what are the reasons they give you that they're not using social media?
They don't get it.
They don't get it. So how come you get it and they don't?
I was shown how to get it.
By?
Well, yeah. And, you know, part of it was identifying key influencers. honestly, when Raul tweets something for me, I'm just like, wow, that's the highlight of my day.
So you're saying when he retweets something of yours,
Yes.
that's the highlight of your day?
That's the highlight of my day, my
You have a
Twitter
very
day.
sad day. It's okay.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, those type of things are.
Sorry, not complete. I didn't say totally sad. I said, did I? I might have said totally sad. Not completely totally sad, I should have said. But no, but that's interesting then. So you love when people retweet your messages or your information and get that out. But how can you get more of your fellow MLAs on Twitter and engage?
It's one by one.
Yeah.
I don't think some MLAs will ever be engaged. For one thing, I mean, it's pretty hard to read I got eye surgery, so now I can whip out my iPhone or BlackBerry and not have to worry about seeing the text.
Yeah.
But, you know, for some of my colleagues, it's a pain to have to even look at their BlackBerry. Right? It's just the way they communicate. Ralph Sultan, he still writes handwritten letters.
That's crazy talk.
But he's on Twitter now.
He is on Twitter. I saw that the other day. Yeah. I was waiting for him to say, get off my lawn, or stuff like that, or this Netscape ain't working for me. I don't know.
And I don't think he quite gets it either yet.
Okay.
Because if you read his tweets, they're...
Come on, tell me one of his tweets that would indicate that he doesn't get it.
Well, it's, I was at an event X.
Right.
And I frankly do that as well. But I think there has to be a bit of a
more substance or context.
Yeah, something more emotional.
That's cool. But let me ask you then, advancing forward to 2013 in your election, how will social media help you in your election in 2013?
Well, I've already got now just over 900 followers.
Okay.
And and you know what? They're not all my constituents.
Right.
But that's one way that I know that I've got an avenue to speak through. But we were using it in 2009 as well.
Yeah. But I think it'll be used far more in 2013 than it has been now. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Any questions from our audience for our minister? Sorry, I always tell you to yell it out when you're there, so go ahead.
I've heard you say, phone's difficult. Like, as volume increases, I can anticipate by election year, if people know that you're able to respond, those questions are going to come in around election year. Do you anticipate being able to respond to all of those?
That's a great, because there could be a big flood of information, especially around election times. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's interesting because one of the issues we have is that we don't really connect well with people, and we don't get a lot of opportunities to respond directly to people. So I'd love to have that challenge, that we'd have that many people. And I do get a lot of specific requests or questions on Twitter that really can't be, you can't reply in 140 characters. So what I do is I use the feature that says forward to email. So then I'll forward it to one of my staff who will then respond directly to the person. So I'd anticipate that I'd be doing more of that.
And you let them know that that's what you're doing?
Yeah.
Cool.
I actually think that one of the things, and I wanted you to maybe expand on this. One of the things they've asked, and this is something that people tend to mix up, is using social media for political issues and then using social media for policy issues. And I know that you and I have had these conversations. I would like you to actually expand on the fact, on what you weren't asked, which is how you use it for policy issues. And that's particularly because you have that Twitter connection with students. Students will tell you what the policy issues are. So I would just like you to expand a little bit more on that.
Sure. So one interesting thing that happened when Raul and I met, he asked me, actually no, it wasn't when we met, you actually asked me through Twitter if I'd perhaps consider speaking on policy at one of your classes, and I thought that'd be a great opportunity. That's what we do in advanced ed, is look at policy. We often hold the pen for policy, and I was thinking, okay, now how do I get how do I make it relevant for your students, right? What do I want to talk about? And I thought, well, we could use Twitter to spur that conversation on what's important to students. But I mean, if you could see my Twitter stream that I've got for BC PSE, so that's BC Post-Secondary Education. That's what
that's the
hashtag. The hashtag BC PSE. It actually frames a lot of what we talk about in the ministry with respect to policy. You know, how much should students pay for your tuition? Should you pay 50% of the actual cost? Should it be 100%? Should it be 25%?
Can we decide that right now amongst us, or
should it be zero?
Yeah.
So those are the type of issues. I haven't actually been very proactive, though, Raul, in that respect, about using Twitter to determine policy. But certainly, I'm receiving a lot of advice, and I've got the perfect constituent to communicate with, because we're talking mostly students that are 18 to 30, 34. And obviously, absolutely engaged.
So that's interesting. So, because we had this conversation with a couple other guests, that we had someone in from Iceland, and they found that when they did a lot of social media around their constitution, they didn't really have a lot of young people engaged. Are you finding different with your constituency, or is that because of your ministry that you're finding that you're actually talking about issues that matter to young people, so therefore they're connecting with you?
It's both.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, every time I visit a college or a university or an institution, and I always meet with students there, I get, through my email, so-and-so is following you now, so-and-so is following you now. Yeah. And they're all from those...
that institution? Yeah.
So, yeah, we get it different ways.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm cognizant of your time. I know your assistant, Sarah Elder, told me make sure she's out by 10:30. Well, I did well, didn't I? But anyways, I want to thank you very much for sharing, and it's really refreshing to have a politician so honest about social media and so engaged, and I hope you'll continue with that. And I know we all appreciate your time as well, Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I hope you follow me. Is it up there?
I didn't have it up there, so yeah, get your Twitter handle out.
So my Twitter handle is @Naomi Yamamoto. It's pretty simple, my first and last name.
So just take out the minister, put an @ sign, put it all together. Be sure to follow her, and if she makes sushi, maybe she'll have us all over. I think that's the important part there. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time again. Have a great day.